Ah, Breath of the Wild, the first big open world Zelda game filled with adventure, secrets, and robots. Robots? That's new. We have never really seen robots in Zelda games. Or have we? Well, actually, we did. Robots like the Guardians and Gohdan. But what kind of robots could we expect in the new Zelda game? Can we expect some old bosses and enemies to return? And could it be that Gohdan and the Guardians are connected to the shrines in the Breath of the Wild Guardians? Well, time to find out. In 2014, they showed off a brand new enemy in the Zelda game, Breath of the Wild. It was the Guardian. They are large mechanical spider-like creatures that remain inactive until Link approaches, and they are able to fire lasers from their eye. This laser will explode upon impact. Smaller Guardians can also be found in shrines and defective ones at the Temple of Time's ruins, near the Great Plateau in the center of Hyrule. But we have also seen some other robots before, and some of them could actually be connected to these ones. Gohdan, the boss of the Tower of the Gods, the third dungeon in the Legend of Zelda The Wind Waker. It is a giant stone statue created by the gods of Hyrule, for the purpose of guarding the Master Sword, and is the final challenge of the Tower of the Gods. The tower was created by the gods in order to test the courage of one who would seek the Master Sword. After Link triumphs over the trials of the tower and climbs to the top, the gods speak to him and ask him to accept one final ordeal, namely battling Gohdan. Because of the sacred role of the statue, it is given the title the Great Arbiter. Anyone who defeats Gohdan will be deemed worthy of wielding the powerful Master Sword. Although it cannot be confirmed, it seems likely that Link is Gohdan's first and only challenger. Gohdan could actually be connected to the Guardians and Shrines from Breath of the Wild, and there are a few clues for this. If we look at the Guardians and Gohdan, we can see that both of them are covered in glowing markings. Besides this, if we look at the markings that are on the wall in Gohdan's boss room, you can see that they look a lot like the ones that we see in the shrines. Actually, the shrines in the Tower of the Gods look very similar, and that's what sparks my interest. I have 3 questions and also 3 answers. The Tower of Gods was made by the gods, and its purpose was to test the hero's courage. Could it be that the shrines were built for the same reason? Well, there's one clue in the game that essentially confirms this. When you finish a shrine and talk to the monk, he says the following. To the one who sets foot in this shrine, I am Gohdan. In the name of the goddess Hylia, I offer this trial. And when you find him, he says this. You have proven to possess the resolve of a true hero. I am Gohdan, the creator of this trial. I am a humble monk, blessed with the sight of the goddess Hylia, and dedicated to help those who seek to defeat Ganon. With your arrival, my duty is now fulfilled. In the name of the goddess Hylia, allow me to bestow this gift upon you. Please accept this spirit orb. May the goddess forever smile upon you. So this completely confirms that these trials were made by the monks, and they did this for the gods. And also, the description of the spirit orb that you get from the monk gives even more evidence for this. A symbol of courage given to those who have overcome the challenges of a shrine. So the Tower of the Gods and the shrines that we have seen in Breath of the Wild were made for the same reason, to test the hero. And now for my second question. Could this mean that we might see Gohdan return in one of the shrines? Well, the shrines were made by the Sheikah, so could this also be the case with the tower? Did the Sheikah build the shrines and the tower for the gods? Well, the architecture is very similar. And if this is true, then it would also mean that Gohdan was made by the Sheikah. This would mean that Gohdan could be able to return, maybe as a shrine boss, which would be an amazing idea. Now, we don't know this for sure, but it would make sense. And my third question, were the Guardians created by the gods? Well, there's certainly a possibility. They are similar to Gohdan, which is also a creation of the gods, and they are called Guardians after all. So maybe the gods made them to protect the people of Hyrule, but they were destroyed and corrupted at one point. They do have the same color as Calamity Ganon. This could be a sign that he is controlling them. And besides this, we also see smaller ones in the shrines. So they are connected to the shrines in some way. Otherwise, they wouldn't be there. But I'm not 100% sure about this. It could be that somebody else made them. Now besides Gohdan, there are also other robot-like creatures created by the gods that we have seen in other Zelda games. I'm talking about the Guardians from the Silent Realm that we see in The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. They are incredibly powerful enemies that inhabit the Silent Realms. There are two types of Guardians, walking ones with enormous club-like weapons and ones flying with two smaller sword-like weapons. The more common flying Guardians will constantly flow towards Link through all obstacles, requiring no line of sight to see him. Though fairly slow, they will eventually surround Link through numbers and determination. Walking Guardians remain in place until Link comes within a moderate distance, where they shall proceed to chase Link at a speed slightly slower than Link's sprint. However, it is faster than Link's walk. So yet again, these robots were made by the gods and were used to test the hero's skills. But there's one difference between the robots that I mentioned before and these ones. They don't have any glowing markings. This is weird since both the Guardians from Breath of the Wild and Gohdan have glowing markings all over their body. But there's actually quite a logical reason why they have markings and the other ones don't. If we look at the timeline, we can see that Skyward Sword is at the very beginning. So it could be that the Guardians from Skyward Sword are very primitive versions. This would explain why they don't have the markings and why they are so basic in terms of behavior. But could we see them again in the new Zelda game? I don't think so. Like I said, they're pretty basic and primitive compared to the Guardians from Breath of the Wild. Maybe we will see a more advanced and updated version of these robots guarding the shrines. They would be perfect guards, but the question is, can they exist outside of the Silent Realm? Well, no idea. Nothing is mentioned about it. Now let's move on to some other robots that we see in Skyward Sword, but weren't made by the gods as far as we know. The Ancient Robots. They are mechanical creatures found primarily throughout the Lanayru Desert. Centuries prior to the events of the game, these robots performed tasks for the people living in the region. However, after the Mice attacked the surface and forced Hylia to relocate the Hylians to the sky, the Ancient Robots unified with the remaining races to defeat and seal away the Mice. Since then, they have fallen into decay and their remains litter the Lanayru mining facility. However, the time shift stones that they use to harvest can restore the long inactive robots to working condition when they are activated. According to the group of ancient robots located in Lanayru Gorge, they serve under the Thunder Dragon Lanayru, referring to him as Master. They also possess a great deal of strength, presumably to use for manual labor. Now, could these robots return in Breath of the Wild? I know that some of you have been wondering this, and I don't think it's going to happen. It's unknown who created them. It could be the gods, or the ancient humans that lived before the attack of the Mice, or even the Thunder Dragon. But in Skyward Sword, we can see that they are completely destroyed and lay in ruin, and that's why I don't really see it happening. And there's also another problem with these robots: their oil source. According to Gondo's grandfather, LD-301 ancient robots apparently use extract from the roots of an ancient flower that once grew in Lanayru province in the past, as a source of oil to maintain functionality. It was a lack of these flowers in Skyloft that led to the LD-301S scrapper breaking down. And presumably the lack of ancient flowers in present-day Lanayru Desert is the reason why the LD-301 series robots no longer function in the present day, due to the loss of ancient flowers and their precious oil. So if they would return, they need to use a different oil source in order to function. And if they return, they could only serve one purpose: helping the Hylians with labor, since they were used for this long ago. Now the security systems that we see in the mining facility, like the BMOs, could possibly return, since it was never said that they need the oil of the ancient flower, so it could be that a similar type of robot will make a return in Breath of the Wild. And so you can see that there are actually quite a lot of robots throughout the Zelda series, and I didn't even cover all of them. Some were made by gods, and some by others. Will some of them return? Well, yeah, that's for sure, since BMOs have been in multiple Zelda games, so they could always return. But there are also others that have no chance of returning. We will just have to wait and see. Well, hello there, welcome to the outro. You know what to do here. I don't have to tell you to click that video. I don't have to tell you you have to click that subscribe button. You're a grown-ass adult. You can do that yourself, can't you? Well, yes, you can. Well, great. Go do that. Please? Yay, you did it, I think.